It's finally here, the NFL draft. Long month, long off season so far, and we're going to get right into it with teams that we believe have the most pressure to fill out their roster this draft. And we're going to start off with none other than America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, because they're trying to get back into the playoffs.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys are always going to have pressure because, one, they're America's team. Two, Jerry Jones is their owner/general manager. But this is also a team that is set up to win on one side of the ball, which is obviously the offense. They have their quarterback. They got Javonte Williams on a resurgent. Hopefully, obviously, he continues it for them. O-line's decent, not terrible at all. They have some talent there, and obviously, weapons-wise, Pickens, Lamb, Ferguson, especially Pickens and Ferguson this past season were incredible.
The biggest thing is two things. One, they got Brandon Aubrey back, highest paid kicker in the NFL, but that's not the most important thing. The important thing is you're paying Dak Prescott $60+ million. So that's one reason why you are have to be competitive this year, because the Washington Commanders, if Jaden Daniels is healthy, could be back in the mix. They had a really good offseason. Obviously, we know what's happening with Philadelphia. Obviously, the rumored A.J. Brown trade is going to happen. And obviously, we'll see what type of step the Giants take. But that's just your division. The NFC conference in general is crazy. You got two conferences. That's 7 teams between the North and the West. So pretty much everybody in the North, minus the Arizona Cardinals in the West, are up for playoff contention. And if you want to compete either in your division or you want to compete in there, you got to make some moves during this draft. You guys have been very stagnant for the most part when it comes to like the off-season, like how you make the joke, Jerry Jones always forgets free agency has begun. But the reason why they have the pressure here, you traded away Micah Parsons last year. With that, you got the 20th overall pick via Green Bay. You have your own pick at number 12. And like you said, the offensive side, you're pretty much fine. The problem is your defensive side, because you lost Micah Parsons, but you did recuperate certain things by getting in Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, Quinnen Williams is obviously one of the best D tackles in the game. Like, he still has that. He's not Micah Parsons, but Quinnen Williams is a damn good football player, and we've seen this defense improve when they brought him in at the trade deadline. Compared to their first half where they had no Micah and no Quinnen, there was a sizable improvement. They still got to work on their back end and their secondaries as well. Trayvon Diggs is not there anymore and not the same player.
He wasn't great after that.
Deron Bland was just the interception guy, coverage guy, not the best. So definitely need to work on their cornerbacks. And when you're looking at the picks, the good news for the Dallas Cowboys is that recently some of their defensive picks have hit. Obviously, the biggest one being Micah Parsons. So the good news is they
draft well.
They do draft well. Yeah, they do have a good track record because Jerry wakes up during the draft time because he's asleep all of free agency. So they have 2 first-round picks. If they could get 2 solid defensive talents, it could really change their fortunes for the upcoming season. And we saw how well Micah Parsons did. And I know it's going to be difficult to find a guy like Micah Parsons in his draft because Micah Parsons is a one-of-one type player who was coming in as a linebacker and then left as one of the best and highest paid edge rushers as well. But he has that versatility. You're looking at, you got to be improving your linebackers, obviously. You got to be improving the secondary. And you got to be adding a partner for Quinnen Williams up top. They do have some young guys who have stepped up this past season, which were pretty impressive. But at the same time, nailing these 2 picks, we could be viewing the Dallas Cowboys almost as contenders next year if these 2 first-round picks and the second and third hit as they wanted to hit.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Matt Eberflus their DC last year?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure he got fired.
Yeah.
Obviously they have a new DC coming in. We'll see how that ends up being. But yeah, so the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, because you're labeled America's teams, because Jerry Jones is your owner/GM.
But because you have talent as well.
Yeah, on top of that, you have the talent. But we're going to go to another NFC team here. So do you believe the Dallas Cowboys have more pressure in terms of, let's just strictly put on-field stuff? Or do the Detroit Lions have the most pressure? Because I believe my team that I'm picking here is the Detroit Lions, because we said Dallas is in a tough division, and a conference in general. Detroit's in the toughest division in football.
Oh yeah, for sure. In terms of pressure-wise, if you're looking at the team situation and not where they're in and what they are, well, obviously we focused on what they are, but like where they play is similar sort of style because you're looking at Detroit Lions. They have like the talent. They have the talent like the Dallas Cowboys have the talent. If not, obviously maybe more. They have the QB. They have the running back and one of the best in the game. They have a top wide receiver as well. Their O-line, I know it did take a hit because of people retiring.
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Frank Regno.
I was about to say Taylor Decker.
Yeah.
And again, defensively, like improvements need to be made, but like you still have superstars, right? Like you're still in a better spot than Dallas defensively just because you have Aiden Hutchinson and you have probably one of the best safety duos in the league in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. The biggest issue with them defensively is honestly staying healthy. But in terms of like we're saying it now, Detroit and Dallas are in a similar situation cap-wise. Like people are getting paid now, right? So the only way you could improve your team is not by spending big on free agency. It's going to be difficult to make big trades as well, is by hitting on your draft pick. So in terms of the team and how the roster is built standpoint, and I'm not even looking at like where they play, who they're going to play, the pressure seems very similar because they are in similar situations where hitting on these draft picks will help them elongate their contendership window because Detroit's is going to end soon. You have a feeling because the players are getting older, especially Jared Goff. And the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys, right? We don't know, we don't know what's going to happen with Dak Prescott. Like I still believe he's going to be a good football player, but his age is getting up there as well. So these are not these young teams, up and coming teams anymore. Like these are teams that have talent, that are in their prime, but they have some glaring holes that they need to fix, and that's going to be done through the draft.
So yeah, like obviously we're talking about pressure through the draft, but this is also teams that you could have had this synonymous to having teams that have pressure going into next season as well, because we're talking about two teams that are trying to contend or trying to get into the playoffs in this case, right? And for me, like Detroit, yeah, I do not like the Drew Petzing pick for the OC because they needed a new offensive coordinator. Defensively, listen, forget what his name, Calvin Shepard did a really good job. It was just the injuries for the most part that kind of screwed him over. So their track record drafting wise, not bad. Obviously they got themselves a solid when Aiden Hutchinson fell to them at number 2 when Jaguars, who by the way, Trayvon Walker's not a bad pick, but he's no Aiden Hutchinson. I believe you could agree with that. And obviously the Tyrion Arnold pick hasn't panned out fully for them on the cornerback side of things. So like, yeah, they have one first rounder this year. And then playing in a tough division, you expect Chicago to take another step. You expect Minnesota to take another step with Kyler Murray potentially being their quarterback. And Green Bay is going to be Green Bay as long as they stay healthy as well. The reason why, another bit of pressure, like these guys do like to reach on people and has worked out for them. Worked out, yeah. Jack Campbell was one of the linebacker there, but the big one was Jahmyr Gibbs, who's gonna be up there as I feel like he'll break the record, and then eventually Bijan will break the record as the highest paid running back. The reason why, well, they went out and did get Isaiah Pacheco, so that's a solid pair. The reason why I'm talking about that is because Sonic and Knuckles is broken up, right? David Montgomery is no longer there, so Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna get the bigger load. So the reason why I'm saying that's a little bit of pressure is, can you get a running back, maybe not in your first round pick, but maybe your second or third round pick, and pair him up like how you did at Sonic and Knuckles? Will it be as good as the David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs? Maybe not. Pacheco isn't at the level of David Montgomery. I feel like you could agree with that. But for now, that could do the trick. But if you can go get a running back to help that out help out for them, because you already have the weapons, in my opinion. They just need to stay healthy. The other reason why they have a lot of pressure this year to get this draft right in order to improve their team is, you said it earlier, Jared Goff hasn't been looked the same last year during his Detroit tenure compared to when he first came in, and I think he's not gonna magically become better all of a sudden. How much of that was because Ben Johnson was lost? How much of that was just his regression? You could say it's a big mix of both things. So this realistically could be the last year under this quarterback that it could be a legit opportunity. Because if not, after that, you might be looking to draft one. You might be looking at maybe paying Kyler Murray if he has a huge bounce back year for the Minnesota Vikings, or whatever the case might be overall. Anything to add with the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to say is that I feel like one reason why we saw them struggle offensively, obviously one was play calling. Other was, like, we didn't see that combination of Sonic and Knuckles, right? It was like Montgomery was coming out and complaining about his touches, and it was fair because he wasn't getting it as how like Ben Johnson. So that put a lot of pressure on Jahmyr Gibbs, and we saw Jahmyr Gibbs be human and be stopped as well a few times last year. Again, I don't know. You go running back with the first two, but at the same time, I would probably look more corner. In my opinion,
take honestly best player available. That
Yeah.
could just help you depth wise for sure. I'm just saying like maybe like your second round, your pick 80th to 50th overall. And after that, you don't have a pick till the two of them in the fourth
I
round.
think the two, like running back, is fair just because if you want to have that duo, but
But the problem is Ben Johnson's not there too. So
Yeah,
you got to
I
look
mean-
at what Drew Petzing
but that's
wants
I
as
feel
well.
like that's just not a talent. That's just a play calling standpoint. I
Yeah.
don't think like drafting a running back, or don't draft a running back, or any offensive player is going to really help you. It's just that how is he gonna do in a play calling standpoint and in a scheme standpoint, right? So that's was the biggest issue for them last year because we saw that huge drop off, and I'm not expecting much of a change because Drew Petzing didn't do much with Arizona and the talent that he had there. The main thing I'm looking for the draft picks, I would personally want them to go round 1 or round 2, either cornerback or finding a partner for Aiden Hutchinson.
Fair, yeah, because listen, when we say draft, we're not saying strictly draft playing. You could use these picks to upgrade a player in a trade as well.
Potentially,
So
yeah.
we're not like when we're saying that upgrade through the draft, we're not saying strictly draft the 2026 draft class. We're also saying because Trey Hendrickson's potentially available still. Can you obviously the price was 2 first round picks.
You
Realistically,
mean Max Crosby?
Sorry,
Trey Hendrickson signed,
Hendrickson
yeah.
replaced Max Crosby for the 2 seconds. I go Max Crosby's still potentially available, right? Yes, the drop off might be from not 2 first round picks, but you could maybe, if you are somewhat desperate, kind of like what the Bengals did to give Dexter Lawrence for a 10th, which I don't hate because I don't think there's anyone better than with Dexter Lawrence there, but in this case, yeah, like you could still use these picks to see if you could get a guy like Max Crosby to pair up with Trey Hendrickson or whatever the case might be overall. Any other NFC teams that you could think of that have more pressure than these two heading into
These two are
this
top
draft
2.
class?
They're top 2.
So let's move on. We're gonna take a pivot to the AFC side of things. I'm gonna pivot away from the team that is a contender. Let's talk about a team. We talked about the Raiders already. Let's check out that video. We already talked about the Tennessee Titans. There's another team that's in that tier that's trying to rebuild, and that is the New York Jets, who have a lot of question marks. Now, they are not at the position to take Fernando Mendoza, so they don't have a quarterback. And the Tennessee Titans already have their guy from last year. This year, you have 2 first-round picks. You have 2 second-round picks, the first-round pick being from the Colts, and then obviously the second-round pick coming from the Cowboys, Quinn and Williams trade. Then you have your 4th pick, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, and 2 7s. Even round 2, it's for their own pick is pick 1, which is 33rd pick in the draft, right? So essentially, they're picking the day 1 pick 1, day 2 pick 1 essentially there as well. The reason why these guys have a lot of pressure, we've talked many times on this channel about the development of a QB. We believe that Geno Smith is not going to be the quarterback next year for the most part, but you might be at a prime position of taking one of the guys unless you draft someone like a Garrett Nussmeier or whoever else in the later on, right? Maybe you take a Ty Simpson with that 33rd pick if he does fall to you. I don't know what their plan is in that sense, but chances are you might be taking a quarterback next year. So, and the next year you have 3 first-round picks as well. Why not use this draft to set up for that potential future QB you're looking for, right? And then obviously help your defensive side of the ball a little bit because you did lose some big pieces in Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, so offensively, like you have that weapon in Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
They didn't trade away Breece Hall, so he's still a solid running back. You added Adonai Mitchell. We'll see if he can take off and revive his career here in New York because it was a tough time for him in Indy. Offensive line, they do have some pieces, right? They obviously didn't need to develop for sure. So they could add more to the offensive line, in my opinion, but it's not like the worst offensive line, but it definitely could use a little bit of work if you're trying
I'll say
to.
this much: Geno will have a better time at this offensive line.
Oh
than he
yeah,
did
for
with the
sure,
Raiders,
for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, I think the biggest things is
hitting on the picks.
That's the Jets thing. The reason why the Jets here because we know that the picks they make usually don't work out.
And how much of that do you think is development, and how much of it do you think is just not?
It's both.
Because I think the Breece Hall draft class was a good, like the year they had the 3 first-round picks a couple of years ago, like how they're gonna have one next year. I felt like they were good, decent enough picks.
Like there was a year where they had Wilson and Sauce, and they both won offensive and defensive rookie of the
we
year.
thought the future was there, right?
For sure. But at the same time, I mean, it's the New York Jets. They're always going to have pressure because they always suck, right? Teams that suck, their Super Bowl is the draft. The Bears have escaped it. I believe the Titans had their competitive window, so they're just kind of falling into it now. The Raiders, we believe that they have the best opportunity to get away from it as well. The Jets always have been here.
The thing with the Raiders are like they've messed up many draft picks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But the Raiders still made the playoffs, right? The Jets have the
Yeah.
longest playoff drought still. So that's a huge thing for the New York Jets and New York Jets fans, is because this is the only thing they could look forward to is potentially young, exciting talent that could help propel their team in the future. And they have hit, like we mentioned before, they struggle with quarterbacks for sure, but in terms of they had Garrett Wilson,
The skill positions.
Sauce Gardner, like they did well in the skill positions, but like we said before, like the pressure is obviously on the picks, but development is also going to be huge as well. But when I'm looking at the Jets, this draft class, find a way to make it quarterback friendly. So positions like O-line, if you want to go wide receiver, you can.
Help your defense a little bit.
And then obviously find some replacements for Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner as well.
Power rank the three teams, the Titans, Raiders, and the Jets, in a sense that who do you trust more going forward to the future? Not saying who's going to be good next year. I'm saying whose future would you trust more?
Ooh.
I feel like the obvious one is the Raiders number one. Because you're getting
The
Fernando.
Raiders are in the best position
Yeah.
too. So I would say the Raiders. In terms of like, yeah, I would go with Raiders. I think they're in the best spot. I believe they have the right coach for him as well, and the right QB veteran for him as well, because of his long lost father and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But I still have to put the Jets third. I would go with Titans second.
Yeah, I might lean Jets second because they at least have some weapons to work around.
It's not even that. It's just that I don't.
The trust
I would trust the Titans front office more than the Jets front
Yeah.
office.
Any teams like the Jets that are out there that do you want to add on to before we move on to our next team here?
So like bad teams.
Like bad teams type vibes, because we already talked about two of them, so we don't need to emphasize them on this time in this one. That are up. I think like AFC, NFC, anyone really. I think the Jets do have the most because they've been in this
I could
drought for a while.
I
That's
could
the thing.
sneakingly throw in the Giants
Yeah.
because now they have 2 first round
True.
picks, right?
Fair.
So obviously hitting on those is going to be
Yeah, they
huge.
got the 10th pick. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence.
So
yeah.
like that's
So the similar boat as the Jets, essentially.
yeah, because they now offensively they do have talent as well, but
You have John Harbaugh.
you have John Harbaugh, but you got to work on that defense now for sure.
Okay, so we'll emphasize more on the New York teams in a different video as well. But the next team, we're going back to contendership, and that is the Buffalo Bills, who I believe every draft, every time the draft comes, it has a lot of pressure because either they didn't do too much in free agency, or B, they haven't really hit on the draft picks like how you want to, which is why we said why is Billy Bean getting a Brandon Bean, Billy Bean, what's his name?
Brandon Bean.
Brandon Bean.
Billy Bean's Moneyball.
Yeah, Brandon Bean. How did he survive and get a promotion? Essentially,
Yeah, this is the one you thought would be really weird just because McDermott got the firing
Yeah.
and not him. Look, I think it's still inexcusable that they still have their first round pick and not trade away for a proper wide receiver. So with this first round pick, they obviously failed on Keon Coleman prior
they
to,
traded out of the first
which they
round.
traded away
Yeah,
Xavier Worthy
yeah. So
and traded down to get Keon Coleman. And they traded Xavier Worthy to the Kansas City Chiefs, so
who
that
panned
doesn't
out
help
better.
them too.
Yeah,
So with the Buffalo Bills, similar sort of thing for Detroit and Dallas, but I believe low key on paper that Detroit and Dallas, well, especially Detroit, have more talent
Yeah.
than the Buffalo Bills as a whole.
minus
roster
the quarterback
combined.
position.
Yeah, minus the quarterback position, obviously.
I mean, they
And then
dra-
running backs are obviously similar. James Cook is that guy. O line is good. Wide receivers, holy shit, they do need to freaking figure out a way to get someone because
they got DJ Moore, so that's a step. But that's not like when you got Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
when
for
they
sure.
first got Stephon Diggs.
And then defensively, they did perform better. Again, this team does get
Injuries.
injured quite often defensively as well. But right now, for me, I don't even give a shit. Just figure out how to get a wide receiver.
Because like
Just,
now
that's
you
all I care.
have Joe Brady as your head coach now.
Yeah.
So you promoted him from OC to head coach, who some Bills fans are like questionable about that promotion, right? Like obviously he was a mega upgrade from Ken Dorsey, but then as the years went on when he was OC, it didn't pan out. listen, every year we talk about pressure. Dumb and the Ravens are always the teams that we're gonna always bring up. But the difference is the Ravens at least draft well, so I don't want to put them too much under the
But
pressure.
Ravens also have a
settings.
complete roster, right?
Exactly, right? It's just more so executing.
Like the Bills are literally, it depends on Josh Allen
exactly.
being Superman, not even
Yeah.
just like
So
stable.
I feel like out of all the teams we've discussed, I guess you can look at it two ways. I believe the Jets do have the most pressure and try to get back into the right direction, but the Bills, in terms of winning a Super Bowl, have the most pressure overall because, like, again, they just rely on this time of the year a lot, and they have not hit on a lot of these draft picks overall.
Yeah, like we're looking at it in opposite ends of the spectrum. Like we have looking at the shitter, figuring out a way to get out of the shits.
Okay.
And then the other team that's trying to get over the hump that just can't get over it because they lack execution during these pivotal times of the offseason.
Anything to add?
No.
Guys, I mean, it's the Bills. We don't need to add too
It's
much.
the
It's
Bills.
same
Like,
old.
it did. It's the same conversation every year because their goal is Super Bowl. And it'll be pretty embarrassing from a Buffalo Bills standpoint if the Sabres win a championship before they do.
Yeah, that's true. And New England is now on the rise over there as well for them and on the verge of getting A.J. Brown, who you should have been trying to targeting overall. But next up, last and certainly not least, we got to talk about our squad, the Indianapolis Colts. Not because they're just our squad, but because we do believe they have Chris Ballard has this draft class right now on the line. His job security is on the line here. Him, Shane Steichen, whatever the case might be. The reason why is you traded your first round pick for Sauce, 2 first round picks away for Sauce Gardner, one this year, one next year. Again, I'm not gonna be hypocritical. I do not hate it. At the end of the day, you're really having a mid round pick. They're better than Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner's better than those guys, anyways. In my opinion, at the end of the day, the problem is though the reason why that trade doesn't look good is because you're now away from getting a quarterback for 2 years in a row, right? At the end of the day, so now you're relying on. And you didn't do much in free agency. On top of that, I do like the moves you made by getting rid of some guys, but you didn't bring in guys to help you out. So essentially, you're relying on your second round pick onwards, which you're probably gonna trade back and do some stuff to fill out your linebacker, your edge rusher, your another safety, and another corner,
So this is the shit that
and some O-line depth.
it's basically the shit that he always does that got him into his mess. He's gonna try to do again to help him hopefully get out. Look, man, 2018 is a long time ago. You ain't hitting on a defensive rookie of the year on the second round pick, who was labeled as the worst pick of the draft, in Darius Leonard. You ain't hitting on the third round pick like how you got Braden Smith in that draft class as well. Obviously, you got Quentin Nelson in the first round.
Yeah, that was one of the better
But ever since then, man, he has not been that great in the draft classes because you're still looking at a guy that needs to play in the opposite side of Laiatu Latu, who himself is not even convincing anyone that he is that capable of being the first defensive player taken out of a draft class because he has not lived up to that. And who he right now is a miss because I believe the next pick or the next couple picks was literally Jared Verse, who has been outplaying him every aspect of the game, right? And at the position. You're asking second, third round, fourth round talents to come in and play starting linebacker minutes. Again, they're going to be young. They should be athletic compared to what you had last year with Zaire Franklin and Jermaine Pat, who felt like they had cinder blocks on their feet when they were trying to cover anyone. So in that sense, yes, there's some hope. Like you're looking to get younger. You're definitely going to get younger. You're definitely looking to get faster. You should be faster because they are younger. The issue is they might not know what the hell they're doing because they are second, third round, fourth round talents.
I mean, okay, listen. Your job is to scout players that are hidden gems, and you did a decent job at times.
At times. But you're
suck at the first round
over-reliant
picks.
on them.
Yeah.
You're way too over-reliant.
Right
In this
now,
situation, you're heavily reliant on
You
them.
have 2 picks in the top 100, which are 47.
Does he
and
realize
78.
his job's on the line? Like, I genuinely wonder. Because, like,
I don't think so.
what? It's not a good formula to rely on. I'll still say you get someone, like, if you draft, like, second and third, you might still get someone, right? 2 good players. But, like, fourth round picks and onwards, it's a pretty shitty formula to rely on them to become starters every single time because you always trade back for more fourth round, fifth round picks because they're fourth round, fifth round, late pick talents, day 3 talents for a reason because they haven't convinced anyone of anything yet. I'm not saying that all of them will be bad because there have been a lot of hidden gems that have went on to become Hall of Famers, superstars in this league. And I'm not saying it's impossible to find someone, but at the same time, you're more likely to miss than hit on someone like that.
Yeah, right. Like at the end of the day, we've obviously talk about any sport. The top talent are usually in the first round. NFL first 2 rounds, we'll say that because sometimes you're relying on certain positions. For me, this team at the end of the day, the reason why they have why they have the big pressure this draft class is you're trying to make the playoffs next year. Simple as that. There's no way you're trying to tank unless you're trading away, which you have no one on your team that's probably worth a top first round pick. Love Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. He's gonna command you. He should, in our opinion. But like at the end of the day, the market's not gonna suggest that someone's gonna give up a top 5 pick. Quentin Nelson might be one, but again, aging lineman on top of that is the thing, right? Overall. So when it comes to the Colts, at the end of the day, you're banking on health of your cornerback duo because, like again, Treverius Ward is the big one.
I mean, the good news is they have depth in the cornerback.
Yeah,
room.
But there's no depth anywhere else on the defensive side. You not giving Lou a good enough sufficient side of things there. And on the offensive side, you're still figuring out your quarterback spot properly because Daniel Jones is coming back from an injury. Anthony Richardson is still there. You're hoping
trade requested, so he's probably not even practicing. Gonna practice.
Yeah, and then Alec Pierce, you made the highest paid free agent wide receiver, has surgery. He's out for 3 months. We don't know if he's gonna be a number 1 wide receiver long term in the NFL. Yes, you hit on the Tyler Warren pick, but and then linemen, you lost some pieces. It's gonna be a struggle. You need to find depth pieces there as well for the most part. So there's a lot of holes here, a lot of pressure here. Do we have some faith in these guys? Not really, unfortunately. But we'll see what ends up happening. But in terms of actual broad NFL landscape, the Colts have a lot of pressure because Chris Ballard's job security is literally on the line here, and we'll see what ends up happening overall. But that pretty much wraps it up for us. NFL draft, one of the best times of the year, looking out for some trades and all that. So make sure you guys comment your thoughts down below what your favorite team is and what you expect them to do during this draft. Comment down below what other teams outside of these 5 teams have the most pressure this draft class. We want to hear them down below. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. So we appreciate everybody who has subscribed so far. Follow our TikTok, follow our Instagram. We drop Reels and TikToks and YouTube Shorts as well. Other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.